Did you know the seeds we rely on for our very survival might actually inherit physical memories of stress from their mother plant? I know, it sounds straight out of science fiction, but it's a very real, microscopic survival mechanism that completely dictates whether a seed is going to sleep through a bitter winter or sprout way too early and die.
Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving headfirst into the invisible, molecular world of plant epigenetics. We're going to look at how seeds actually remember the environmental trauma their parent plants went through, and how understanding this hidden intelligence could be the absolute key to securing the future of our global food supply in a rapidly warming world.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. A changing climate threatens crops. 2. The power of heirloom seeds. 3. How plants remember past stress. 4. Silencing genes with RNA. And finally, 5. Dormancy secures agricultural resilience.
Let's kick things off with Section 1. A changing climate threatens crops. So global warming is completely messing with our predictable seasons. Winters are arriving early or they're showing up late. They don't last long enough and they just behave unpredictably. And this completely confuses plants about when they're supposed to flower, when they should bear fruit, and crucially, when to drop their seeds. Now, look at the sheer scale of the vulnerability we're facing. Get this, according to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, globally there are only 12 crops that are commercially used to provide 75% of the world's food. Just 12. That means our entire global food security is resting on this incredibly narrow, highly vulnerable genetic foundation. When unpredictable weather hits, a single mistake in a plant's timing can wipe out an entire crop. And to make matters worse, not only are we relying on just 12 crops, but the UN also estimates that a staggering 75% of agricultural crop genetic diversity has already been lost over the last century. We've hyper-optimized for uniformity and high yields, but in doing so we've stripped away the very genetic safety nets that allow crops to survive unpredictable environments in the first place.
Which brings us to Section 2, the power of heirloom seeds.
Let's compare the dominant modern system of corporate homogenized seeds with heirloom or landrace seeds. Corporate seeds are bred to be super uniform and to give you standardized yields, sure, but they require highly controlled environments to do it. Because they lack diversity, they are highly vulnerable to sudden environmental shocks. Heirloom seeds, on the other hand, they're incredibly diverse and hold deep cultural significance for the farmers who save them. But most importantly, they have immense environmental adaptability. They respond dynamically to weather and pests because they're specifically adapted to their local microclimates.
The crucial point here is captured perfectly in this phrase. Heritage seeds are heritage memory. Sure, these seeds carry deep cultural narratives, but biologically speaking, they're essentially capsules of physical memory. They have literally spent generations learning how to survive harsher local conditions. That makes them an incredible, untapped resource for breeding drought and disease-resistant crops in our changing climate.
Let's dig deeper into Section 3, how plants remember past stress.
So the huge biological question is, if a plant doesn't have a brain, how exactly does it remember a tough environment? Well, the answer is epigenetic memory. Think of the DNA sequence as the hardware of a computer. Epigenetic memory is the software programming. It involves heritable changes in how genes are expressed, whether they're turned up, turned down, or totally shut off, caused by environmental stress, but entirely without altering the underlying DNA code itself. This amazing system allows a plant to recall a past stress event so it can deal with similar challenges way more efficiently in the future.
Think of it as a cycle. In the first phase, a plant experiences drought stress. This triggers modifications to its DNA and its histones, which are the proteins that DNA wraps around. This process upregulates certain small RNAs and downregulates others, just to help the plant survive the immediate crisis. But here's the magic. When normal conditions return, the plant doesn't just forget, it retains a stress memory. So in the second phase, when drought strikes again, the plant has a drastically enhanced, much faster response. It rapidly regulates plant hormones and reactive oxygen species to survive. It literally learned from that first drought.
Let's zoom way in for Section 4, silencing genes with RNA. To understand how this maternal imprint actually functions mechanically in seeds, we have to look at some groundbreaking research from the University of Geneva. They focused on a specific gene called allantoinase, or ALN for short. The ALN gene is a negative regulator of seed dormancy. In simple terms, think of ALN as a biological alarm clock for the seed. If ALN is active, the alarm goes off and the seed wakes up and germinates.
Therefore, if the seed needs to stay asleep to survive a freezing winter, hitting snooze and shutting this gene off is absolutely essential.
Notice how the mother plant controls that wake-up call, almost like a biological thermostat. Here's how it plays out. Step 1. The mother plant experiences cold temperatures while the seed is still developing. Step 2. This cold stress triggers the plant to generate these tiny fragments of what's called interfering RNA. Step 3. Those RNAs physically target and methylate the promoter region of the ALN gene, basically slapping a biochemical padlock on it. And finally, Step 4. The ALN gene is completely silenced. The wake-up call is canceled and the seed's dormancy is strictly enforced so it sleeps safely right through those harsh conditions.
So environmental stress, like a nasty cold snap or a drought, directly interacts with the epigenome. This interplay results in DNA methylation that regulates specific genes. In the case of our seed, the mother plant literally forces the silencing of the paternal ALN gene, locking it down completely and ensuring the offspring waits for optimal, warm conditions before it even dares to sprout.
But nature is brilliantly efficient, right? Every system needs a reset. Once the seed realizes the environment is actually safe, it germinates. And right after germination, this cold-induced epigenetic memory is completely wiped clean in the embryo. The ALN gene is reactivated. The counters are basically reset to 0. This reset button is vital because it gives the next generation of plants a fresh start, allowing them to adapt appropriately to their own new environment without being overly burdened by the memory of their grandparents' harsh winter.
And that leads us perfectly into Section 5, Dormancy Secures Agricultural Resilience. So why does all this microscopic molecular science matter to a farmer out in the field? By tracking how environmental stress translates into epigenetic memory and eventually into phenotypic changes, meaning the actual physical traits of the plant, breeders can develop incredibly resilient crops. If we understand exactly how seeds control their dormancy, we can ensure that our staple crops won't germinate prematurely during those weird, unseasonably warm winter days that are becoming so common with climate change.
The agricultural benefits of harnessing plant stress memory are just massive. We're talking about transgenerational stress resistance, where plants literally pass their survival skills down to their offspring. We see improved drought and frost tolerance. We see increased antioxidant capacity. And ultimately, what we are all desperately after, stable yields under severe climate stress. And the best part of all this, we can achieve this without altering the core DNA genome sequence, simply by tapping into the epigenetic software the plants already naturally possess. Lead researcher Mayumi Iwasaki from the Geneva study really hit the nail on the head when she summarized it like this. Studying how maternal and environmental factors cause dormant seeds to awaken is of crucial importance for agriculture, especially to prevent early germination in an environment subject to climate change. The ecological stakes literally could not be higher here. If warming temperatures reduce the dormancy of our seed banks, it could completely disrupt our entire agricultural calendar.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I really want to leave you with this one thought. We so often look at seeds as just simple, inactive little pebbles of food. But the next time you look at your plate, ask yourself, are those seeds hiding an ancient intelligence? They carry the physical memory of the sun, the drought, and the freezing cold. They use microscopic RNA to silence their own genes just to ensure they wake up at the exact right moment. Unlocking that hidden intelligence might just be the key to feeding the world tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into plant epigenetics.